What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the scale. And I haven't done a video on the scale in quite some time, and I have been getting asked recently by my clients whether or not I think that they should weigh themselves daily, weekly, sporadically, not at all. What are the pros and cons to doing it? What type of scale you should use? So if you're thinking about weighing yourself daily, this video is for you. Before I get into anything, if you are someone who is not super comfortable, doesn't have the best relationship with the scale in general or weighing yourself, I would proceed with caution because I am going to be talking a lot about weighing yourself and different types of measurements and things, so it may be triggering. With that being said, there are some pros and cons to weighing yourself daily versus weighing yourself weekly or not weighing yourself at all. So we're going to start with weighing yourself daily and what type of metrics that can provide for someone who is looking to either lose weight, gain weight, or maintain their weight. First thing you need to know is that scale fluctuations are completely normal. The degree of which you're fluctuating, that kind of varies depending on your individual person. But some people can fluctuate 1 to 3 pounds per day. Other people can fluctuate 5 to 8 pounds per day. It kind of just depends. There's nothing inherently wrong about scale fluctuations. If you are unaware of your current trends of fluctuation, it can create a really negative association with the scale or just with weighing yourself in general if you're unfamiliar with how much your body fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, again, if you're not comfortable with it, I'm not encouraging you to do this, but if you are, it can be a really good way for you to understand your body's metrics a little bit better and what normal fluctuations look like for you. This is also where I would encourage you to stick with one scale. A lot of people ask me if there's a specific scale that is better or worse than the others. And just like with anything else in nutrition, it's all about what you do consistently, because every scale has an opportunity to be incorrect to some degree. So the best way that I can tell you to do this is by taking a dumbbell or a kettlebell, placing it on the scale and checking to see if the weight matches the dumbbell. And if not, then obviously you have something going on with your scale. But it's good to know because sometimes there can be like a little bit of an inconsistency between what the scale is showing and what is true weight. This can also be the case if your house is unlevel or your flooring is unlevel, like tile with grout, or if you move your scale throughout different places in your house. So keep that in mind. Whatever you're doing with everything I'm talking about in this video, make sure that it is consistent. When you weigh yourself, going more in depth with consistency, you also want to make sure that you're doing that in a consistent fashion with the variables all being the same. And what I mean by that is typically the most accurate representation of your weight is going to be first thing in the morning, after you've gotten to the bathroom, before eating, before putting your clothes on. And you want to do that with every weigh-in that you choose to do, whether it's daily, weekly, sporadically, and we'll get into those. But for now, just talking about the consistency, this is going to give you the best and most accurate representation of what your weight is, or at the very least, just the most consistent. Because like I said earlier, your weight is going to fluctuate even throughout the day. And it's also going to fluctuate, for example, if you wake up way earlier than you normally do and you chose to weigh yourself on that day, you're likely going to see a pretty significant increase if you woke up like 5 hours before your normal wake up time. There's so much with the scale that has very little to do with either like true fat loss or true muscle gain, and you're really just looking at the overall number. When you look at that number on the scale, you are taking into account your bones, your muscle, your skin, your hair, your water retention, your organs, the food that might be still in your stomach. Like there's a lot of different things that goes into that. So when you weigh yourself, and I know that toxic diet culture has ingrained that, you know, women, mostly women, we need to be smaller and always lose weight. You could step on one scale, it could say a certain weight. You could step on another scale right next to it at the same time, and it could say a completely different weight. So take it with a grain of salt, okay? And this is why I really like to preach that the scale is not everything. And in my personal opinion, there are a lot healthier ways for you to measure your progress that don't involve using a scale. For the sake of this video, we're talking about weighing. So when it comes to weighing yourself daily, let's talk about some of the positives that come with that. So like I was saying about your body's fluctuations, one, it gives you a really good idea about how your body fluctuates on a day-to-day basis. But two, the more data that you have per week, so if you're weighing all 7 days, what we like to, as nutrition coaches, look at is your weekly average. This goes for food and this also goes for your weight. If you have 7 days of weighing, we're gonna take that week's weekly average and compare it to the previous weeks. Now, typically, a sustainable and normal amount of, we'll say weight loss for this example, is like half a pound to a full pound, give or take, per week, depending on the type of deficit that you are in. If it's an aggressive deficit, closer to the 1 pound mark. If it's a more conservative deficit, it's gonna be closer to the half pound mark. Either way, if we're looking at the week as a whole, we can say, okay, I'm 122.5 this week. Last week I was 122.7. Not much of a change, so I probably wasn't eating in as much of a deficit as we thought, or whatever your case may be. With that, the reason why I would typically, as a nutrition coach myself, recommend people to do one or the other extreme is because if you are weighing sporadically, let's say you decide to weigh yourself on a random Monday and then the following week you weighed yourself on Wednesday. On Monday, let's just say that you happen to have a lot lower volume foods in your diet throughout the previous day, so that Sunday, and you slept really well. If you're a female, you were at a certain point of your cycle. Basically just think like all the stars aligned, right? And I'm just using myself for example, let's just say I was 122. Okay, so we don't have any other data between that Monday and then I weigh myself on Wednesday, the following Wednesday. So there's over a week in between those two weights. Now on Wednesday, that day that I decided to choose to weigh myself, let's just say that I got my period. The day before I had a super high sodium meal for my dinner time. I maybe drank less water, I didn't sleep as well, and my weight said 129. Now, what happens for most people, and especially beginners, is they would look at that data, the 2 points that they have, and be like, oh my God, I gained weight. However, if you don't have all of the data between this Monday and this Wednesday, we don't know what your weekly average was from that week and compared to this week. You may have had a ton of other significantly lower weigh-ins in between Monday and Wednesday, but if we didn't weigh, we don't know. Really not fair for you to assume that you gained 4 pounds, and is that really likely in a little over 7 days? No, but it can cause a lot of panic in clients who don't understand the fluctuation of scales and how their body weight is going to naturally fluctuate, right? So you freak out, you're like, oh my gosh, I gained 4 pounds, I need to go on a diet. That is the one thing that I will say causes most people to incorrectly go into a cut because they think they've gained weight when they actually didn't. So before you even go on a cut or you're deciding to go on a bulk or whatever, I would highly suggest, again, if you're mentally okay with it, to weigh yourself very, very consistently and look at your weekly average data. Because then you know, okay, I fluctuate from 122 to 125.6 on any given week. That's roughly my maintenance point. So if I know that all of a sudden my average goes from 122.5 to 128.9, I know that something's not adding up. But if you just take one weigh-in and compare it to the next day, a lot of people unfortunately think that that's gaining weight, and your body cannot physically gain body fat in that short amount of time. That's what the fluctuations are. You could eat so much food at the end of the night and the next morning you wake up and your body weight's gonna be significantly heavier than it would be if you didn't eat a super big meal. Does that mean that you gained weight from that meal? Yes, but weight in the form of food that's in your body and not body fat. So there's some pros and cons, obviously, because in that situation, the person that's weighing themselves every day is getting as much data as possible. But the con to that is mentally it can become an obsession. And if you are somebody who has that type of mentality where that data becomes very, very important to you and like you can't function without weighing on the scale, you have to weigh yourself multiple times a day, that, in my opinion, is way on the disordered side and not something that I would suggest that you do. You need to really take a hard look at yourself and decide if you are the kind of person that can weigh yourself on a daily basis and be totally fine with the data, or do you need to not weigh yourself at all? Because in my personal opinion, weighing sporadically can sometimes do more harm to clients than good because you really don't have the full picture. So I hope that this video helps you if you were trying to decide on weighing yourself, or maybe if you just thought randomly you wanted to weigh yourself for no reason and you haven't been weighing yourself, maybe this will prevent you from doing that. And some other ways that you can keep track of your progress progress pictures, strength in the gym, endurance workouts, the way that your clothes fit, the way that you're feeling, the way that your relationship is with your body. Those are all really good metrics to pay attention to when it comes to progress that don't rely on the scale. So let me know what you think of this video. If it helped you, leave me a comment down below, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe. We are almost to 100K subscribers. I'm so excited, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I love you guys so much.